Hey there, welcome to Rob's Custom Wood Shop. My name's Rob, and today I'm going to be taking you on a tour of my shop. We'll start the tour right behind me. Let's get going. Now this miter station is an original piece of furniture in this shop. It started out as just a workbench with a shelf, and I built that with a basic set of power tools, a skill saw, a drill, and a router. As my skill level progressed, I built the doors and the upper cabinets. These were my first attempt at building shaker style doors and simple tongue and groove. Now the underside of this cabinet is where I keep all my corded power tools, my routers, jig saws, biscuit joiner, reciprocating saws. I keep my framers rigs and utility bags over there. In the upper cabinets, I basically store all my consumables, my sandpaper, my fasteners, assortment of screws in both my cabinets, and the top of the cabinet is basically a catch-all. I keep all my zero clearance throat plates, my saw blades, my nails, and a conglomeration of router bits. Now I'm not happy with the way my router bits are stored, so look forward to a custom router bit cabinet coming in the future video. I also keep my brad nailers up top. I have 3 of them, and I keep different size of brads in each gun so I don't have to waste time changing to different sizes as I'm building. Way back when, this Delta miter saw was my very first major tool purchase, and I have used it a ton, and I still use it today, and it's still dead accurate. Next, I keep my 10-inch disc sander, and every shop has to have a radio. Moving to the south wall now, right after the entrance is where I keep my sheet goods. It's such a small shop, and I don't have a lot of area for my sheet goods, but with the amount of area I have left, I can store roughly a half a dozen sheets of 3/4 inch plywood if need be. Then, in front of the sheet goods, I keep my King Industrial KC65FX 6-inch jointer with a helical head. Now, as much as I would love a bigger jointer, the area in my shop just does not allow it, but so far for every project I've ever done, this jointer has done an amazing job. Next, I keep my router table. This is a Veritas router table built on a custom stand if you haven't noticed. And on the router table, I also have the Veritas fence system. Right after the router table, I keep my clamp rack. Now because I plan so far ahead, I end up changing my clamp rack once or twice a year to accommodate adding more clamps. That brings us to my assembly table. I built this table to withstand the tests of time. It's made out of solid 3x3 material, all half lapped. It sits perfectly square and solid. This thing weighs a ton even when the drawers are empty. Each side consists of 4 drawers, and on the upper drawers I'm going to make split drawers to give myself more storage. The bottom I basically use to store power tools. Now if you've seen some of my past videos, you have seen me use my extending table. I came up with the design as I was making this table as a way to support my offcuts. This will extend from 6 feet all the way to 8 feet, allowing me to support a 4-foot cutoff with ease. Now on the end of my assembly table is where I keep my armor tool pocket hole jig. When I want to use this pocket hole jig, I basically have to just pick it up, set it onto the bench, and I'm ready to go. Now the concept for this pocket hole jig cabinet came from a YouTuber, Drew Short of Woodshop. I tweaked the plan a little bit to better suit my needs, but basically it has screw storage with dividers, normal storage, and I can remove the jig and take it wherever I need to take it. And when I'm finished, I just put it back. Over my assembly table, I carry most of my marking devices and straight edges. I also have a clamp rack with all my short clamps. Next, I have my charging station. I just threw this together one night as a way of getting the stuff off the bench and more organized. Look for it to disappear in the near future. That brings me to the ugly blue cabinet in my garage. This has been in my garage for 25 years, and somehow I move it from wall to wall and can't seem to throw it away. I always find some reason to put it up and put more crap in it. But with my assembly table finally completed, I'm finally getting able to get rid of the bulk storage and the painting supplies I've been keeping into this cabinet. Now under the ugly blue cupboard, I keep my green mechanics toolbox. This toolbox will always have a place in this shop. And it keeps things like my extra pencils and marking gauges. I keep all my drill bits and jigs in this drawer because it's so close to my drilling stations. I keep small wrenches and pliers and screwdrivers and chisels in the other drawers. Now working down this bench, I have a 16-inch Delta scroll saw. I got this scroll saw to do a few Christmas projects, and I really don't have a place to store it at this moment, so I'm just going to keep it on the bench till I figure out something more permanent. Then, moving down, I have my 10-inch Ryobi drill press. I don't use a drill press for a lot of things, so this 10-inch drill press with a small homemade table more than suits my needs. Sitting on the end of this bench, I have my King Industrial MA 1050 ST hollow chisel mortiser. Now the funny story about this is that when I ordered it, I actually ordered the basic version, and it wasn't till I unboxed it I noticed that they sent me the wrong one. In retrospect, this is a better machine, and I'm awfully glad to have it in my shop. Off this bench, I have my King Industrial KC 1202FX 12-inch bandsaw. I keep multiple blades for this bandsaw, and I'm still learning how to use it, and as a beginner, I think it's a really good bandsaw. It suits every need I have, but maybe someday I'll upgrade. Between the bandsaw and dust collector, I have my back door. Now I can back right up to this back door to unload or load anything I have going on in the shop. And this back door is built so that it opens up to a 5-foot opening if needed. Now stashed away in the corner, I have my King Industrial KC 3105C single stage 1200 CFM dust collector. Now if you'd like to see the installation of this and my whole dust collection system, I do have a video published on it. To have this sitting in this corner like this, I had to change the motor and impeller housing and also add a foot longer 5-inch discharge hose onto that to make this work for me. Now under my outfeed table is where I store my 6-gallon pancake compressor and another mechanics chest. This chest is sort of a catch-all with just a few mechanics tools and a lot of other things. I also keep my shop vac that I hook up to my armor tool jig to give dust collection while I'm doing pocket holes. And I also keep my cutoff bins under here and a few other hoses. In the middle of my shop is basically where I keep my planer. And I do so to allow myself adequate room for infeed and outfeed of longer pieces. Now this planer is a 12.5-inch Mastercraft. It's not the most expensive planer out there, but for everything I've ever asked it to do, it's done it. So on the infeed side of my table saw is where I keep all my jigs hanging off the wall. Before I got my jointer, I had my jointing jig, but now I use it kind of as a tapering jig. I also keep my table saw sled and my miter gauge. Now if you watched back into my vanity build video, there's the story of how this cabinet came to be in my garage. Right now, until I decide what to do with it, it's basically becoming a catch-all of everything. I know I wanted to use it as a cabinet in the shop, but I just don't know where or how. Right now, I just use it to keep a router that I can't find a better storage place for, and my dado blade. And finally, that brings us to my rigid R4512 10-inch table saw. I keep it against the wall because really, I can't cut anything wider than the 30 inches. So there's no point to having wasted space on the other side. Now I've had this table saw for 2 years now, and I must say from the old Rockwell saw I had that was a 1975 model, that this saw far outperforms it, and I much prefer cutting hardwood on it. It gives me straight accurate cuts. Although the fence is a little finicky at times, you just have to check it. Other than that, I really have no complaints about this saw. Now the one shop upgrade I'd like to mention I did this year that I will never have a regret about is I added more light to my shop. I added 8 rows of 3 6500 kV LED lights to my shop, and the difference was night and day. So that's an upgrade I would recommend to anybody. Now you may have noticed I never mentioned anything about any of the wood racks I have in my shop. That's because they're a very temporary solution. Later this year, I plan on sheeting the walls in my shop and then adding a permanent wood storage solution. So that ends my tour. If you have any questions or any ideas on how I can improve anything, please leave a comment down below. I'd appreciate it. And if you liked this video, please hammer that thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit that subscribe button And don't forget to ring the little notification bell so you never miss when I upload new content. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the next project.